You know, when a crisis hits a World Heritage Site, the headlines just fly everywhere, right? And they can be super confusing, even alarming. Today, we're going to cut through all that noise. We'll get into what really happened near Humayun's tomb, look at the human cost, and unpack the critical warnings this event holds for historic sites all over the world. So let's get into the facts. Okay, so let's set the scene. The date is August 15th, 2025. It's raining pretty heavily over Delhi. And on a day that's already so significant for the country, this sudden, tragic collapse happens, right in the heart of the city's incredible history. So what was actually going on? Well, the first reports that came out really sparked a lot of panic. It's so important we separate the facts from the fiction here. And right away, you see this huge difference between those initial reports and what was actually true. The first news flashes were, well, they were dire. They made it sound like the main iconic dome of Humayun's tomb itself had come down. But the reality, which authorities thankfully confirmed pretty quickly, was that the main monument was totally fine. It was completely undamaged. The structure that actually fell was a smaller, adjacent building. So here's the crucial point. We are not talking about the World Heritage Monument itself. The building that came down was the Dargah Sharif Pateh Shah, a small room that's connected to the bigger complex. Understanding that difference is really key to grasping the scale of what happened, at least structurally, because the human cost, unfortunately, was very, very real. Yeah, the building collapse is only one part of this story. The other, and honestly, the more important part, is the human element. The people who were caught in this, and the massive effort that went into saving them. And this is the hardest part. Tragically, 5 people lost their lives. Now, some of those initial reports mentioned 6 fatalities, but authorities later confirmed 5 in the immediate aftermath. Just a truly heartbreaking outcome. But in the middle of all that tragedy, there was some incredible work being done. Rescue teams actually managed to pull between 10 and 12 people out of the rubble alive, and they got them rushed to nearby hospitals like the Ames Trauma Center for the urgent care they needed. And the response itself was this amazing multi-agency effort. You had the Delhi Fire Services, the Delhi Police, the National Disaster Response Force, you probably know them as the NDRF, and the Delhi Disaster Management Authority. All of them were on site, working together in what must have been an incredibly challenging situation. Their speed, no doubt, saved lives. So, as the rescue was happening, another question was already being asked, right? Why? Why did this happen? What could have pushed this older structure to its absolute breaking point? And the primary suspect right from the get-go was the weather. Experts quickly started pointing to the heavy monsoon rains that had just been hammering the city. The thinking is that all that intense rainfall just saturated and weakened the old structure until it finally, tragically, gave way. And we actually have confirmation on this from an expert on the ground. Conservation architect Harish said, and I'm quoting here, "The collapse did not affect the main tomb. He made it clear that the damage was contained to that side building, which only partially hit the main boundary wall." Hearing that from an expert was so crucial for calming everyone's fears about the World Heritage Site. Okay, so a smaller building collapses, the main tomb is safe. You might be wondering, why are we doing a whole explainer on this? Because the implications of this one event, they reach so far beyond just one structure in Delhi. Look, this event is a massive wake-up call, and on a few different levels. First, it shows our heritage is at risk, and not just the famous monuments, but the whole ecosystem of older buildings that surround them. It's also a serious issue of urban safety. It puts a spotlight on the dangers of poorly maintained buildings in historic areas. Now, on the plus side, it did show us what an effective emergency response looks like. But maybe most importantly, it screams out the urgent need for regular structural audits, especially before the monsoon season hits. A tragedy like this has to become a lesson, right? It gives us a clear, even if it's painful, roadmap for how we can do a better job of protecting both our history and our people as we move forward. So what does that path forward look like? Well, the lessons from this point to a pretty clear 3-step plan. First, we have to prioritize safety audits for all older structures near heritage sites. Second, there needs to be strict enforced oversight for any construction happening in these sensitive zones. And third, we have to keep strengthening those disaster preparedness plans that really prove their worth here. And that really brings us to the final, crucial question. And this one is for all of us. This wasn't just a story about Delhi. It's a powerful reminder that our history is fragile, and the buildings that surround it, they are part of that story and part of its safety. So I want you to take a look around your own community, your own town or city. How well are the historic sites where you live being protected from the pressures of time, weather, and just plain neglect? It's a question really worth asking before the next tragedy strikes.